How do you see the impact of the coronavirus playing out when it comes to demand for your product? It's pretty difficult given that the only comparable kind of event is SARS 17 years ago, and we know the impact and the significance of the Chinese economy is far greater now than it was then.
Yeah, good morning, Heidi. Thanks. Look, it is difficult to forecast. What we've said for our second half outlook is that we're expecting to have no earnings out of our China business for the second half. Now, of course, the second half in China is seasonally a softer business anyway, typically about a third of our earnings. And to put that into some context, from a year ago, we had earnings from our China business in the second half of $16 million. We've reported today a half earnings of $302 million. So that's the relative impact that we're currently forecasting on H2.
What about the supply side and the domestic activities? Because I know you have facilities, including a metals coating facility in Suzhou. Can you tell us and give us an update as to whether activity is taking place in that facility? Are your workers going to work, for example?
Yeah, we have 7 facilities in China, 4 major operating facilities and sales offices. Post the China New Year break, all of our facilities were closed for another week. And up until this week, there was only one facility, our Tianjin facility, that was yet to be opened, and that has now reopened. It's fair to say what we've seen now, we're back at work, is the supply chain is still winding up, so getting access to trucks and logistics is taking some time. So by no stretch of the imagination are our businesses operating at full capacity, but our people are safe and healthy, which is a fantastic outcome from a Bluescope point of view. But they're also back at work, and we're starting to see that supply chain wind up and fill again.
Are you starting to see demand pick up again? Because I know some of those businesses rely heavily on supplying to Chinese construction markets, for example, which wouldn't be at full capacity or I would dare say in some places any capacity at the moment. What are you seeing from the demand side for your business there?
Yeah, certainly still some restrictions. Our flat product businesses, so we're more focused in the warehouse area, warehouse space, rather than we are in residential construction or high-rise construction. We have seen activity start to pick up, but yes, it is still restricted. I suspect that it will take some time. Our businesses were affected in February in terms of their financial performance. We're expecting the same for the March results. And as I said, our forecast for the second half is that we're expecting no contribution from our business between now and June. So we've called it as a second half impact. At this stage, it's too early to tell whether it will go beyond the second half, but our expectation for the second half is that we'll have no impact or no contribution from the China business from an EBIT point of view.
There's certainly some concerns that could go well beyond this year, right, depending on how bad things get. What's your sense on the vulnerability of the Chinese economy when it comes to growth and the dedication of the leadership in hitting those growth targets?
Certainly there's been a very strong commitment to ensure that the growth has continued. In fact, the half that we've just reported on, we had a very strong first half from our China business. In fact, a fantastic outcome from the team there. So in the segments that we're exposed to, we were seeing very good levels of underlying demand that reflected in the first half result. I would expect that the government would be very keen to ensure that demand and activity levels get back to an appropriate level post the virus. So I would expect that the government be working very hard to make sure those demand levels increase again.
It's a very different operating environment, and I think a very different level of confidence I'm hearing from you compared to a year ago, the previous year, because with the US steel operations, there was a real expectation that you would benefit from the Trump, make America great again, infrastructure trade, right? Has that played out, and are you now concerned, given that President Trump is saying that he wants to broaden out steel tariffs?
So we're investing $700 million in expanding our North Star facility. It's the largest capital project we've undertaken as a listed company, so we're very excited and obviously, given that level of commitment, very confident in what we're seeing in the North American economy. So our businesses in North America for the half we've just reported, whilst softer because of steel spreads, certainly the level of underlying demand is still very robust, and we're seeing that in our buildings business. We're seeing it through our North Star facility in the automotive, manufacturing, construction segments. So we're still seeing a robust level of activity, and our investment that we're making in the steel mill in Delta, Ohio, we're very confident about that investment for the longer term.